Our next assignment is to build up the really changing stock prices, so that this table here is actually like a raw data that we, if we were not like, how to say it, simulating the stock market, but if we were dealing with real stocks, we would have pulled this table down from the internet. But it's just as well that if we have calculated the average increase in the price of stock and the boundaries between which the stock prices increase or decrease, then we can just simulate and play with our own stock market. Okay, anyways, let's set for the lower table, and we are going to be now working with two tables that are coordinated together. Again, something more complex than before. For our lower table, in the first column, let's write equals, and let's click on $10,000, which is initial investment per stock. And we get $10,000, and let's copy this formula for all the stocks to get all of them with an equal initial investment. And now, something that actually we also see, we're using here names, just as we were in the upper table. And it turns out that the names are behaving like dollar addresses, or in other words, like absolute addresses. So they stay in place when we copy up and down. Okay, that's that. And now what we have to do is something we did just in the previous exercise. We're going to discount the stock price. So let's write equals, and let's take the previous stock price, which is, I mean, we're now considering the first stock's second period, and we're taking the previous stock price, which is the first period of the first stock, and we're multiplying by, and now let's put parentheses, and up here we have 3.2% rise. So what we want to do is we want to make it rise 1 plus, and we do 3.2%. So the stock price raises by 3.2%. So equals C22 times parentheses 1 plus C9. In the previous example, we were discounting, so that's why we used minus. Here the numbers are both positive and negative, thus we will use plus, which will make them negative minuses subtract anyways. Now the next thing is so it's absolutely the same thing we did in the last exercise, discounting or adding something to the price. And let's copy this formula 1 to the right to get the first stock's third year as well. And here you see that, for instance, in the second year the stock has gone up by 3.49%, and then to the beginning of the third year it has went down 3.46%. Yeah, and in the beginning it raises, and in the end it falls in the value, and it ends up below 10,000. By the way, if you're not at home with this percentage calculation, you look at the fact that it actually went up more than going down, and in the end ended up being below 10,000. And this is all natural because we want to add 3.49%. And then from the bigger sum you subtract 3.46%. That's why the number is still below $10,000. Anyways, it goes up, it goes down, it changes. And we also see that two tables are working together. So it takes the meaning of the lower table is that this is the stock's price in the beginning of the second year. First stock, beginning of the second year. And this upper table shows first stock change during the second year. And from that we calculate the third year's price. Okay, let's try to copy this until the end. And we can see that this stock keeps on fluctuating. We always correct it. We use the upper table, which has the stock information, and we can correct the prices. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to copy it for the entire table. So we take the first row and we copy it down Here it is. And now we can take any stock and check it. For instance, stock 5, period 6 takes the previous period's price, and from the upper table it takes stock 5's fifth period changes it, and gets the 6th period beginning price. So that's how it all works just fine. And one more thing, just be sure to note that actually both these exercises contain tables. It contained many rows, many columns, and both of the exercises contained information where the progress went from left to right. So all the time it used the previous price, discounted it, used the stock price, discounted it, and here it is. So this is how tables are very often built up. They are either progress from left to right, or they progress from up to down, which we will be seeing later on. Okay, so we've gone over random numbers, percentages, names, tables building upon each other, discounting. Okay, let's see what's next. We want to know how big is the maximum money that we had invested in one stock. That's right, equals, and the function name is really intuitive, equals max, parentheses begin, as they do after all function names. We click and drag the entire table, which is equals max, parentheses C22 colon L31 for the block of cells to be selected. And here it is. It turns out that the biggest a single stock has ever been is at 12,554. Let's see where we find it. It's the 10th stock, 10th year. But it actually doesn't have to be in the 10th year. For instance, here the record, the best record is 11,800, which is for. Going to take a little time to find it. Okay, 11,800. Sorry, this is also in the last column, that's why I didn't see it. But let's try to find some kind of a scenario where the biggest stock price ever is not in the last column. Here it is. Stock number 5 in year number 7 is the record holder in case of the stock market. Okay, of course there is a bunch of ways you can actually, knowing the maximum, you can actually get this stock 5 period 7, the stock name, the stock and the period number automatically. I'm not going to do it right now, but what you have to do is for all the columns you have to add a maximum here, for all the rows you have to add a maximum, and then you have to use something called match function, which we will learn later, to get the column and row numbers, and then it will just automatically indicate when was the record done. Okay, but this is again some kind of extensions to the programs. Let's now see what our stock portfolio does. Let's write sum again, and let's sum together all the stocks for the first period. Every stock was $10,000 investment, so we get a $100,000 stock portfolio in the beginning. We copy it. It will analyze all the periods. And for instance, right now in the end we are losing money. Right now we are winning money. Now we are at a loss. Now we have a loss, and now we are in the plus side, narrowly but still. Okay, now another further point to make is that another point to make is that we often want to concentrate some controlling part. I mean, a part that controls the worksheet in the beginning. We want to take some kind of final conclusions to the end. And for instance, here when we added those column sums, which gave us the state of our portfolio in a given period, we also added some kind of a totals row up there. And now when we want to see what the final result is, we just write something like equals L21, which just basically takes the final result and brings it nicely out in the end of the worksheet. And also, for instance, this 5% here controls the entire stock market. We're going to see that this just in a second. We should now make a graphical representation of our stock market. So let's select all the stocks here, and we're going to add now a new graph. When we were dealing with rooms and rooms areas, we wanted to use a column chart, which basically gave one column for every room. But here we have 100 different numbers, thus divided into 10 stocks. Thus we will be using line graph with 10 lines going up, down, up, down, up, down. So we will choose insert charts and line chart. We will do a line chart from the first column, because as you see, other line charts don't let the lines cross at all. So let's choose this one, and now we can see our stock market dynamics. We can click on F9 to let it all recalculate, and as you see, all the stocks are now moving very differently every time it gets recalculated. Okay, this here. Let's try some other types of graphs. Okay, now the line chart which didn't let the lines cross. An example of that would be here. So this doesn't do the trick. And of course, it would be better to select the words stock 1, 2 to 10 as well. Then we will get the names with the colors as well. The next thing is that just to show how it all controls the stock market, we can just say that the maximum is, let's say, 55% and the minimum is minus 25. Then you can see that the stock market acts very differently, so you can control it from the upper part. 5 minus 5 was our original